Does old trauma keep coming up and resurfacing? Does the pain of the past keep knocking on your door? This is because we tend to heal in layers. We tend to heal step by step. So it's never really over until it's over. So if it keeps coming up, it just means that you need to readdress it again, reface it so that you can release it once and for all. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach and I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse. When it comes to healing, it's not linear. It's not a straight line. And it can be very difficult. What I find is that, what I've discovered is that we heal step by step. We heal in layers. We heal bits to in accordance to how much strength we have. So when we go through a certain trauma, we tend to bottle and we tend to distract. We tend to kind of push it away. But this is actually beneficial because we need to build our strength up. When a trauma is raw, we're weak. We're feeling lethargic, we're drained. We don't want to feel it because we're bruised and because we're in pain. So we tend to distract. We tend to, pacify ourselves with certain things, distractions. I myself, I used to drink and take drugs, but I don't anymore. So my distraction these days would be to watch a comedy, just something to get out of my head and just kind of make myself feel better. A few treats or something like that. And then what I've noticed, in a sense, then you think, okay, that's grand. I'm feeling better now. I've overcome it, and that's what I used to think. And then, my trauma used to come up again and again and again. And, every time it would come up, I'd get frustrated. And I'd be, angry. I'd be like, Jesus, I dealt with this. I'm better now. I don't want to face it again. And I'd be having a tantrum nearly. And then I'd push it to the side again. And that's the thing, because we need to heal in layers, but because we're a nation of bottlers, we tend to bury our emotions. We tend to bury that trauma. And when we're faced with it again, we're kind of angry. We're like, no, I'm not feeling this again. I've already went through the pain. I'm not doing it again. But it used, for me anyway, last year especially, I've gone through different traumas and I've gone through different healing modalities. But last year, I went through a kind of a relapse because of toxic energy in my life. And I went through really intense healing, but really conscious healing. I was really aware of everything I went through because I'd done that kind of same healing before, but I'd done it over a space of a few years. But I needed to get out of the hole I was in last year because I'd lost all sense of who I was. So I was very conscious about how I was feeling and how I was going to get out of that pain. So this is when I discovered that we heal in layers, and as I was healing, I didn't even understand this till maybe the third or fourth layer. But as I was healing, I was faced with it again and again. And I was like, no, I'm not. I was thinking it was psychic attack. I was thinking it was this, that, the other. But it's actually because it has to be properly dealt with. And that's with the distraction at the start of our healing. We think that's because we feel better afterwards. We're starting to feel ourselves again. That we've done the healing and that's it, it's gone. But that's not it. We just buried it. And it's so important to not get frustrated when it comes up and resurfaces again. And when it resurfaces the second time, we're stronger than we were when it first occurred. So therefore, it's easier to deal with, but we'll only be able to deal with a little layer of it again. And this will happen again and again as we get stronger and stronger. We'll be able to deal with more of it. But it'll keep happening until we actually face the whole thing. And I've noticed this with even past traumas. And especially this year, I'm being faced with stuff that I've been avoiding refacing. Because throughout my healing journey, I've been awakening since 2018 and, discovered inner child healings, discovered shadow work, all of that. So I've been healing my traumas from this life and past lives. And a lot of stuff from the past has to come up. The way we heal, we need to face it and feel it again. And I know that sounds hard, and it is hard, but we actually really need to face our traumas head on. We can't just do meditations and think, okay, I'm cured. You know, you actually have to say, meet your inner child, meet your shadow, face the parts of yourself that you're avoiding, face the trauma that you're avoiding, face the pain that you've been avoiding. And I know that is hard, but I wouldn't have been able to heal my inner child or my shadow the way I have unless I faced those parts of myself head on. And I'm starting to realize the benefit of healing in layers. You know, and I was getting frustrated with it because I was like, I've dealt with this, I've done it, go away. But that was just me burying and burying and burying. And like, you know, if we don't completely face it head on, well, that is bottling, that is burying. We're putting it down to this pressure cooker, and this pressure cooker is just eventually going to explode if we don't actually face this trauma, face the pain. You know, and like I go through purges very often where I will cry out all that trauma. I will purge out all that trauma. And it's very beneficial to release, because, you know, if you're keeping all that pain inside you, it's going to feel heavy. It really is, like, you know, and I even liken it to you having a backpack on your back, and you're putting a rock after rock and after rock in on top of it every time you bury an emotion. That bag is going to get fucking heavy. And unless you take those rocks out and face those rocks, you're not going to feel better. And it's like a volcanic eruption as well. And like, you know, pressure cooker, if you keep pushing stuff down, it's going to explode. And it's going to explode in unhealthy ways, through anger and through, you know, resentment or, you know, aggression towards people that you love. So we need to stop avoiding. We need to understand that every time a trauma resurfaces, it's for a reason. It's for re-release. And that's what it is. Like, you know, I've been avoiding, like, my worst trauma happened in 2014, and then 2014, 2015 were the two worst years of my life. And, you know, I healed to a certain extent, but because it was 10-year anniversary this year, I was refaced with all of it head on. And I was like, I didn't want to. Like, and then I realized that I've been avoiding properly healing that for 10 years because I was afraid to feel that pain again. You know, and like, even with the childhood trauma and stuff, like, facing that was hard. But I think this was the hardest for me. And it came up because of the 10-year anniversary, but it's actually coming up again this week for me. And like, I've realized it's because I have to finally release it once and for all. If we hold this stuff within us, this creates blocks around our heart. And it prevents us from moving forward. You know, and the beauty in refacing your traumas and purging out that toxic pain, that trauma, that all that emotion, it's making room for better to enter. When we release that pain, that trauma, that fear, that what we've been through, it opens our heart. We have walls around our heart protecting this trauma, really. We're afraid because it's stuck there. It's stuck. And we're afraid to open our hearts because we don't want to be hurt again. But when we release this pain and trauma, we can actually be heart open. We can actually let love in. You know, so every time I have a massive purge and I have to reface my trauma, something good always comes. And like, you know, I could be in the depths of it. I could be crying so hard that my head hurts. I could be even dehydrating because, like, you know, I'm crying so much. But I know the bigger the purge, the bigger the reward. The bigger the release, the bigger the love that will come in. And, you know, I know that this one, like, I've had a feeling for a while now that there's a new beginnings coming. I think that's collective energy as well. I think for all of us, we're coming out of that cocoon phase and we're coming into that butterfly phase. And I've had this really good feeling that new beginnings are coming for all of us. And I've a really good feeling that it's just around the corner. But there's always an ending before a new beginning. And right now I'm being faced again with the traumas that I went through in 2014 and 2015, so as to let in that love that's coming, that abundance that's coming. And, you know, we have to face, like, the longer we avoid, the more we avoid our traumas or avoid refacing them, the longer it will take for our new beginning to come in. The beginning is coming. The transformation is coming. Our butterfly phase is coming. But it won't come unless we let go of the past. And that's the biggest part, I think, that has been delaying a lot of us, is that we're holding on to this tightness, these walls around our heart. We're holding on the walls around our heart because we're holding on to that trauma, because we know no different. And we think that it's easier to bottle up things, and we think it's easier just to leave it there buried. We avoid it. It doesn't matter. It's not going to affect us if we ignore it. But the more we ignore it, the more it does actually affect us. It affects us in every way of our life. It'll affect our body. It'll affect our health. And I noticed this a long time ago, when your unconscious mind hides stuff from you, and your conscious is like, I'm fine, I'm grand, I'm grand, and I'm not upset about that. Your body will react. Your body will react in dis-ease if you don't face what you're bottling up. And this will delay your new beginning. So you really need to be aware of this, that even though it's hard to face those traumas again and again as we heal in layers, it gets easier every time, and you get stronger every time. And that's the beauty of it. You get really, really resilient every time you have to face it again. And I know when I had to reface this back in May, it was really, really hard for me. It was actually really, really, really difficult. But to face it again this week, because of the purge I did in May, it's easier. I have a lot more that I discovered that I needed to heal. But because of the strength I got from it resurfacing in May, made me stronger this week. And I'm still going through it, but I'm stronger because of it. I'm not as bad as I was in May. In May, I was very bad, and I had to take a lot more self-care and me time. And this week I'm taking that me time and self-care as well. But I am stronger, and I'm not actually, it's weird. The way I was describing it in my head, right, is that I had so much trauma within me to purge out, and I purged that out through crying every time it resurfaces. But what's left, I'm doing less crying this time, because I think it's the last bit, and it's like it's heavier, but I'm not as emotional, and I think it's because it's the last residues of that pain and trauma. It's like it's the last clear out. It's the last cleanse. And my heart is going to be more open because of going through this again. And I know that, I knew that I can feel this is a new beginning coming anyway. And, and I was reading an awful lot about, there is going to be endings before your new beginning comes in. And I was like, oh, Jesus, what's going to happen now? But it's literally, the ending that we're having is saying goodbye to that last residues of the past, saying goodbye to that trauma from the past. So that's why it's so beneficial to face it again, to heal it again, because we're saying goodbye to it once and for all, to welcome in our butterfly phase. We're saying goodbye to this cocoon phase, this healing phase, this hermit mode, to welcome in this new beginning. But we cannot welcome it in if we're still holding on to that pain from the past. Understand that it comes up again and again because you need to face it again and again. And it gets easier every single time. It really does. And it's hard every time, but every time it's easier, and every time you're stronger, and every time your heart opens more. And that's the beauty of it as well. What I do find when I go through these purges and this refacing of the traumas is that my heart opens wider every time. Wider than it did the last time. It might close again while I'm going through the pain and facing it again, but it opens bigger and brighter than it did the last time. That's the strength that we gain from each time we do face our traumas. We have to feel it. We have to feel it to say goodbye to it. We have to feel it to release it. And that is the beauty of it. The beauty of healing. And even though it is hard and it is difficult, it is actually beautiful, because the light at the end of the tunnel gets brighter every fucking time, and it's magical, and we can welcome in new beginnings, we can welcome in love, we can welcome in abundance and opportunities when we release that pain, when we release that trauma. So if it resurfaces, it's resurfacing for a reason. It's resurfacing so that you can face it again and you can release it. So don't get angry, don't get frustrated, don't push it back down, because pushing it back down will make your journey of healing longer. It will delay your new beginning, and it will affect you. It will affect your health if you keep bottling up these emotions. You need to let them out. You need to release them. You need to face them to let go. The only way we can let go of the past once and for all is to face it head on and say goodbye. Because we can't move forward if we're still holding on to that trauma. So I really hope this resonates, and thank you so much for listening. And if it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a discovery call today, and I would love nothing more than to help you on your path.